So with the launch of Zen 2, we got some new APUs from AMD. In this video, I cover a budget $350 gaming PC featuring the Ryzen 3 3200G APU. This can game at 1080p in all the latest games. This is the hardware hub, and let's get right into it. So before I start, I would like to quickly mention I have links to everything in the description, so check that out if you're interested. But with that out of the way, let's get into the build itself. To start it off with the APU, I went with the AMD Ryzen 3 3200G for $100. This is a quad-core APU that comes clocked at 3.6 GHz with a boost clock of 4.0 GHz. Now this APU comes with Vega 8 graphics. This is pretty much the 2200G with an updated CPU architecture and better clock speeds. Now since this has 4 strong cores and decent integrated graphics, it can play most games without an issue. Now 4 cores can be limiting in some newer games and in tasks like video editing, but I don't think that people who are buying this APU are trying to do tasks like that which require a lot of CPU power. But even then, for $100, it's really hard to beat a deal like this. Now next up for the motherboard, I went with the Gigabyte B450 Aorus M for $74. This is a micro ATX motherboard with 4 RAM slots, 6 86 GB per second ports, and an M.2 slot. Now this is definitely nice as it gives you a lot of options to expand your storage and RAM capacity in the future. It also comes with Crossfire and RAID support, which are some nice features to have. Now this is definitely going to be a good motherboard for overclocking because it comes with a B450 chipset which enables overclocking on AM4 CPUs. This is also a pretty decent mid-range motherboard, and it has some pretty nice VRM heatsinks, so you can probably hit a nice stable overclock on this without an issue. In the future, you can upgrade to any Zen CPU simply because it has an AM4 socket. So for $74, you're getting a good upgrade path in a variety of places. Now for the RAM, I went with the G-Skill Aegis 16GB set for $60. This is a dual channel kit that comes clocked at 3000 MHz. Now Ryzen processors, and especially their APUs, really like multi-channel and high frequency RAM, so it's important to go with a kit like this. The 16GB capacity on this is more than enough for all the modern games and will allow you to do some multitasking without any major hiccups. So altogether, this is a pretty good fit into this build. Now for the storage, I decided to go with the Western Digital Caviar Blue 1TB for $43. This is a 7200 RPM hard drive that has 64 MB of cache. The 1TB capacity on this is going to be enough for all of your files, your OS, and programs, which is pretty nice. Now for the same price, you could go with a 500GB SSD, which is going to be faster and more reliable than this hard drive, but with that you get less storage. So if you think you can live with 500GB, then I'd recommend you go with the SSD. If not, you can go with the hard drive like I have in this build. I will leave both linked in the description down below, so go pick whichever one fits your needs better. Now next up for the case, I went with the Roseville FBM X1 for $27. This is a budget-oriented case that has all the basic features that you need, like 2 drive bays, USB 3 support, and a side panel window. It's not the biggest case out there, but it should be able to fit most dual-fan GPUs. Now this does have some room behind the motherboard. It's not a lot, but it should be enough that you can, shove some extra cables back there to try to clean up this case. So altogether, for a low price, you're getting all the essentials. Now for the PSU, I decided to go with a 500W from Seasonic for $40. This is an 80+ bronze rated unit that is non-modular and comes with 2 8-pins. Having 2 8-pins is important because it makes sure that this PSU will be compatible with pretty much any mid-range GPU. The 500W capacity that this has also leaves a lot of room for upgrades and overclocking, which is nice. So altogether, this is a great mid-range unit from Seasonic that will last you a very long time. Now after looking at all those parts, you're probably wondering, how will this PC perform? Well, in games like Fortnite and PUBG, you can play at 1080p and expect to get at least 30 FPS if not more. Of course, it's not going to be maxing out games at 1080p, but at this low of a budget, it's definitely going to be able to at least give you an experience similar to consoles. Of course, if you want higher frame rates, you can drop the settings and maybe even drop down to 720p and you can easily hit that 60 FPS mark. Or, if you don't really care about frame rate, you could probably turn up the settings and easily be able to maintain at least 30 FPS in most modern games. But either way, you're getting a good entry-level PC gaming experience. So if you have any questions about this PC or PC building in general, leave a comment down below and I'll answer you down there. Also, before we end this video, I would like to quickly mention once again, I have links to everything I've mentioned in the description, so check that out if you're interested. But yeah guys, that's all for today. If you liked the video, please be sure to hit the like button. If you didn't like it, please dislike this video and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next one.